Sometimes you can get really stuck on what to draw when you're coming up with new ideas, but one thing that works for me all the time is being able to use the room that I'm in as a source of inspiration. So for today's episode, I'm going to be picking 3 pieces of furniture that is in this room, which is my studio apartment, unit, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to be using them as inspiration for drawings, and I'm just going to see where they take me. So the 3 pieces I've chosen are my desk. I've also got my dining room table and my couch. I've also got my iPad connected up to my computer, as you can see here, so you can watch me draw live. And I guess the best way to describe it is, like, imagine it's kind of like sitting on my shoulder, looking over, watching me drawing my sketchbook. So it should be good. All right, so I'm ready to go, but before we start, hello, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. I'm Jeff McCann, and I'm an artist, illustrator, and maker. On this channel, I give you a bit of a behind the scenes to my creative process, especially for client projects. I share my tips and tricks of what I learn along the way, and then also I take you inside my sketchbook and share how I come up with new ideas. If you're a creative freelancer like myself, or if you're just naturally creatively inclined, I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button. And then you can also head over to Instagram, where you'll find me on there, hit the follow button, and become a part of my family. I'll also have the time codes in the description below, so you can jump forward to any parts if you want to, or if you're bored or rewatching it or wanting to show someone else a part of the video, feel free. By the end of this video, I should hopefully have, if all goes to plan, a really nice fleshed out illustration that I could either turn into something that could go inside my online store and be sold as a product, or the other option is that I could turn it into something that I could use to pitch a new idea to a potential client. All right, let's get started. So for this first round of illustrations, what I'm going to do is limit myself to 2 minutes per item. So 2 minutes for the desk, 2 minutes for the couch, 2 minutes for the dining room table. That way I'm just really in the moment, not thinking too far ahead. It's going to be more of a warm up as well. And then once I've done those 3 exercises, then I'm going to choose my favorite one and take that on to the next stage to develop it more. So fingers crossed I come up with at least one idea that I really like. All right, so let's get started with the dining room table. And I'm going to start the clock now. Okay, so with this, I quite like the idea. I like these drawers. And it kind of gives me this idea of like a creature. I don't know. There's the way that the legs, like the table flattens up, reminds me of like bird wings. So let's maybe play around with that idea. This could be yeah, some kind of character. Then what's in there? Maybe they're like box legs. So repeating that shape. that time, I'm just deleting the back. I'm just deleting the back. No, don't. Okay. All right, so that's my first concept. I'll just group them together. So I think this could be really cool for some kind of a series of creatures that are sort of bird box robot inspired. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, on to the next one. So next, what I'm gonna do is the couch. All right, start the clock in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I instantly like the idea that the couch almost looks like an island or some kind of world. So I'm gonna play off that. So, oh my God. So, kind of draw the front of it, maybe like stairs. Maybe more stairs. Like a doorway. It's almost like a sandcastle, I guess. Let's turn this into like a pool. With some diving boards coming off. Oh God. What am I doing? Some kind of way to get up. Stairway. Fence. A sign. All right. Stop. Okay, so for this one, for some reason I went straight to like a landscape. Kind of interesting. Not sure of the format. I definitely like this idea of a couch pool. I think a couch pool could be fun. Creating this miniature world is always like a really interesting thing that I like to explore, because then I kind of pretend as if I'm like someone small and I'm like in this space. What would it be like? So yeah, okay. Okay, the next one is my desk, which is pretty brand new. I just finished painting it up and setting it all up. It's my nice yellow Zen zone. All right, restart the timer and go. Okay, in this, I quite like all the different shapes. So, and this is kind of like a rug kind of feel, like a magic carpet maybe. And then it's kind of cool, the little grates down the bottom. Let that go like that. Almost like little portals. These kinds of I guess much more abstract shapes. Maybe these are like doorways. As you can tell, I love a doorway. me like waterfalls into like some kind of pool and people standing. Is there something on this? Stop. There we go. So this one's a bit more of like an abstract environment. I really like this working with these gaps, like what could be in there on the other side and things like going through portals. I think that could be really interesting. Even the waterfall could be fun. Now they're all done. Now it's time to reflect back on all of them and choose one of them as my favorite to turn into a new illustration. Okay, so now is the time for me to choose which one I want to take into the next stage, to refine it, and to make a better, a more finished illustration. I definitely like this one the least. Yeah, I don't know. It could be fun, but nah, that's my least. And I think out of these two, this concept makes me excited, and I like the idea of it, of having something going through different levels. It's a little bit like a waterfall, a little bit like a magic carpet, a little bit surreal, and I could imagine playing around with that a lot more to make all different types of ribbons almost. Or like an escalator, like a shopping center escalator. Lots of or amusement park games, like the little machines, the coin machines. Like there's a lot of different references I could pull from that, but I'm just not as immediately drawn to it, which that's going to be number 2, which means number 1 is this robot's bird creature thing. I really like the shape of it, the different proportions of it all. Give him a character name. So I'm going to go with this one. Yay. Now let's reset everything and start to do a bit more of a refined sketch of this. All right, I'm back. I have my artwork here on a lighter transparency. And I might just make it a tiny little bit smaller. And so now what I'm going to do is do a refined version of it. So I'm just going to start on a new layer, and I'm just going to work my way through all the different pieces, as in like head, arms, legs, body, do all the limbs on different layers. That way I can play around with proportions still, and then we'll see where it goes. All right, let's do this. So what I really like about these arms is that they're kind of like feathers and like flappy. So I feel like there's a really good chance to have some sort of animation with that. So I'm going to really try and include, make them so that works really well if I do turn it into an animation. Almost looks like armor as well. fingernails always make the hands look more realistic as well, which is great. Not really sold on that hand, but it's going to leave it for now. For the body, I like this idea of the drawer opening and maybe having little babushka style things coming out like that. Maybe. And this part, I really like the way that the little shelf hole is. You'll notice I'm doing this part a little bit rougher because I'm not sold on the idea, so I don't want to put too much detail into it. I like that. Yeah. Maybe the arms come down. And then for the feet, this little hidey hole kind of look is very much what I'm into as well. So I think I'm going to start with those. Maybe they're like fun little claw things. Maybe they're a little bit too big. Oh, I did that on the same layer. Duplicate those out so it's the same, just so I can get the rough structure okay. I don't know, I'm not feeling this. Okay. I'm just gonna group it all together. Okay, there's a few things I'm not liking about this. I'm not liking the boxiness of it now. I don't like the shape of the head or the point of the ears. So I think I'm gonna turn everything into being a lot more rounder, and maybe it's just like one blobby form. So it's looking a little bit grimace, and maybe I want to go grimace. So let's round all the limbs out and make him like a blobby character. Yeah, at least his body. His arms might be different, I think, actually. So this is going to give it a bit more of like a net rounded shape. And I'm just going to exaggerate all the angles all the shapes as well while I'm going. Instantly cuter. Okay, this body. So when you look to its contour again, if that's the doorway, you want the bottom of it to sort of slightly go around and then come up. So you're still kind of going along that line. Let's do that. His arms, let's just say, go there. Oh my god. So cute. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that. And I'm gonna go back to the doorway belly. And actually no, I'm gonna go to the arms. The arms, yeah. So I still wanna keep these sort of flapping arms up and down vibe. But I'm just going to make them go like taper in as it comes to the top. Cute. My other arm, so that's, oh, I've done it the wrong way. It should be small to big. Something you can do is just literally duplicate. Flip it. Maybe I'll do that for a starting point. I might distort it slightly. That way you've got exactly the same arms, but you haven't had to draw it twice. And I think on the final version, I will actually freehand them both. So they have got this slight little tweaks and they don't look like I've literally duplicated them. But for this, for argument's sake, I'm going to do it. I'm also going to fill the arm with white. And then I'm also going to fill the body with white as well. So now I can start to see the depth. So when I've mentioned before about making artworks layered, so you're not being destructive when you're building up your image, this is exactly what I'm talking about. On the left here, you'll be able to see that I've put all the layers like at the top that need to be in front. So now if I want to play around with this arm in its position, I can do that, start to consider the shoulder. I might even want to give it a bit more of a bend, but like that instantly looks pretty good. You know, do I really want to play around like that? All right, let's keep going. I want to still have these toes. But maybe detail. Don't think about that yet, Jeff. Okay. again, I'm going to duplicate that leg. Move it next to it. I'm going to make it slightly thinner because it's perspective and it's slightly behind, so it'll be slightly thinner in. That's pretty cute. Maybe that leg has to flip out. There we go. All right. Okay, stop fiddling. Okay, got that. Next, I'm going to go back to, where is the original? Let's bring it back up to full transparency. Let's work on bringing this straw back in. Maybe that can be the shirt. A cool frilly shoulder. I want to put a watch on him. Big pants. Oh, what if this becomes the pockets of his shirt? It's not a big belly thing. It's like a little pocket opening up and like a flower coming out. Let's try that. Okay, so let's turn off this. Let's turn off that. Let's go back and give him his pants and his cute little top. Let's have his belly button out. I kind of, does he have a belt buckle? No. Okay, so if that's his pocket, it can just be this little thing. Like a little pot plant. Coming out. Hopefully that'll make sense. Okay. It's really gone far away from this original concept, but that's okay. Hair-wise, it's like, does he have hair? Is it just spikes? Yeah. With like little ears. Yeah, that's it. Oh, okay. What if we make his arm, so he's holding a flower. So it's almost like he's pulled it out of his, like it brings it back to his pocket as well, like a flower coming out of his pocket. Yeah, that makes sense. No, big to small. So, big to small. No pocket. I just don't like it anymore. I love this. Who is this friendly, cuddly person? Why has he got a flower? Love it. Okay. Outfit looks a little bit plain. Maybe in the details I can do to really suggest his delicious, like thick shape. I make them stripy. Maybe I still do a pocket or buttons, a collar. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. Yeah. Alright, let's get rid of the old one. Actually, let's grip it all together. Alright, so as you can see, I have definitely strayed away from the original concept of my dining room table. But that's the best part of this kind of thing, is that your starting point doesn't necessarily dictate where it's going to end. You kind of just like go with the process. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away. I'm going to do a more refined version of this. I'll probably put it just as a time lapse with some music over the top, so you can just sit and chill and watch. I'm sure there'll be things that will change from within this, but yeah, I'm going to go away, do that, come back, and then we will work out. I think I would like to turn this into a really short stop motion little like animation. I think it'd be really cute for his like arms to maybe move a little bit, or maybe for the flower to move side to side or something like that, and have him like blinking and things. So I'm gonna go do this drawing and I will see you on the other side. Enjoy. All right, I'm back. This has totally transformed. I am so in love with it. This is the best thing. This is why I like to do these kinds of exercises, because who would have thought that my dining room table from IKEA that's fold up would turn into this drawing of this big, thick, delicious person. Yeah, as you would have seen in the process, I had some little bits that I struggled with. I really struggled with the hands. I always struggle with hands because I never really go straight to a reference point from like an image. I always just try and draw it so it's just really playful and free, but I did have to go to a reference image. So yeah, this section here was hard, but you know, got there in the end. I'm pretty happy with how it is. It looks realistic enough, but there's a few tiny little bits that I might tweak. Pretty much love it. I'm really glad I got rid of the pocket. I thought the pocket was just way too distracting. Putting in the little nipples and belly button, very cute, love. And the shirt's kind of nice and frilly. I kind of might want to make that a little bit like lacy or see-through, not too sure. Maybe do some like chest hair or like belly hair that you can see underneath the shirt. I think that's what I'm going to do. So it's like a nice frilly, a nice lacy top with some really bold pants. You would have seen for a hot second that I was nearly going to turn it into sneakers, and I went against it because one, I wanted to push myself outside of what I would normally do. That's just my default. And the other reason was because these like toenail dinosaur sort of feet goes back to that original draw shape that I got really inspired by. And also I want to start to try different things. And also the feet in this way pull it away from being just a straight human. It now turns it into like, is this a creature-y kind of form, and makes it a little bit more fantasy, which is what I really like as well. And it plays into that. So it's not just me trying to draw a human being, I guess. The text, this is for you. I've definitely explored this idea of giving flowers and giving gifts, whether it's like random acts of kindness or giving presents or trophies to yourself as an act of self-love. So it's definitely an idea that I'm exploring more. But the "this is for you" text, yeah, it just kind of happened in the moment. I was originally going to maybe try and put a logo on the T, but then it just didn't quite fit with that style of top. So that's when it was going to move down the bottom here, but then it felt like a little bit too small and not as impactful. So now having it on all the all around it, it's that thick line work, which is a really good contrast to the rest of the illustration. And now I can really see this being a full image that feels, whether it's like a page like this, or it could be like a postcard. I could also see this on a t-shirt. I think that would be really cute. Or it could be a sticker, but yeah, so it's that text has really allowed me to sort of see different ways I could use it, but also without that, it's really lovely. And I think I could like play around one of the animation apps to maybe make a little animation as well. So there's a lot of ways that this can develop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away, just going to neaten up some of the edges, simplify the file, because you'll see here I have all different layers. I want to maybe make another version where I've got, you know, the arms and all the limbs and everything on separate layers, but they're all like simplified. And I'm going to color it and then come back. I'm going to show you two versions. I'm going to do one as if it's like, or maybe even three. This is turning out to be a lot bigger than what I thought. I think I'm going to try and do a sticker version, a t-shirt version, and an animation as well. But let's do the color first. I will see you on the other side of this. Enjoy the next part. I'll probably just do as a time lapse again. All right, bye. Oh hey, I'm back. Final stage, the best stage, the artwork reveal, right? So here is the final rendering of the artwork and I'm in love with it. I went in and I added texture to the top. I didn't do a sequency thing, but I at least added some kind of texture. I didn't do the chest hair because it just didn't look good or like chest hair, so I just removed it altogether. I added in shade and highlights to the form, so there's like lighting coming from behind his head, and that meant there's like shadow in the foreground. It's still a skill I'm trying to work out to add some depth to my artworks, but yeah, I think the more I do it, the better I'm getting at it. And then I also reworked the text so it sort of settled in the artwork a little bit more. I feel like it stood out too much when it was that deep dark blue. So I just reworked it and yeah, this is how it is. And I could not be happier. So next I came up with a few ways I could further develop this artwork. There's 2 that could become products. And then the third option is an early stage for an experimental animation / motion artwork that I could continue to explore. So number 1, it's a print, pretty straightforward. It would be like a landscape, probably like an A3 print. The image here shows, you know, once you like frame it, it really gives context of what it could look like on a wall. I really like this finish to it. But I don't think landscape is like the most typical for prints, so it like works, but I'm not completely sold on it. The second option is to create a postcard size print, which obviously lends itself to the landscape format. I was chatting with a friend a few months ago before I was doing a market, and I was talking to her about the idea of prints and, you know, price points for them, getting them made, wanting to do them, but not wanting to invest too much in them. You know, all the sort of things that come up when you're thinking about doing art, like digital prints. And we both settled on this sort of resolution that postcard size prints are kind of the really nice sweet spot. And it's something that I want to explore more of, because with the postcard size, there's one, it's a smaller format. So, you know, it doesn't cost as much to make, which means it shouldn't cost as much to sell. So it makes it more affordable for more people, which is great for my audience because I want to be able to have work that's for everyone. It also means that people could very simply blue tack it to their wall, especially for people who are like renters and students, where people, I guess, who like to collage and make displays on their wall. It's something that I do quite a lot, is just like blue tack things to a wall. So I think a postcard is very easily relatable to that concept of how you decorate a space. And it also means that if you wanted to frame it, you could go out and get a really simple A4 frame and still frame the artwork. So I think this option of a postcard is my favorite. Then the final one that I really wanted to explore was motion. So I just went into my motion settings on Fresco and I just started to play around with simple movement. It's only sort of 2 or 3 frame, slight adjustments, and then put on a loop cycle. I didn't draw the figure in layers like I said I would. I told you I was a contradiction sometimes. So I wasn't able to move the arms around or move the flower around as easily as possible. So yeah, that's bad Jeff. So what I settled on was to move the text around and to move the background. So it really does start to suggest this idea of the character being alive or being in a real world. For me, these kinds of things, or these examples of my artwork, really allows myself to see where I could really move it into maybe animation collaborations. Maybe there's a client who wants to see my work in that sort of format, in the more tech side even. There's also this idea that maybe this could be seen as like an example of character design and could move into like illustrations for novels or kids' TV shows and things like that. So without me pushing these ideas to the sort of nth degree and really broadening them out, they don't really plant those seeds of where I might want to grow or move into and like evolve my practice. So yeah, so they're my 3 examples. I love them all, some more than others. But I really think I'm going to go into the postcard one, at least to start with. So there you go. That was quite a long process, but hopefully you found that really exciting and interesting. It's funny how starting from a collapsible IKEA dining room table could lead into me drawing like a robot bird looking like creature into like a grimace looking human creature character. And then now it's evolved into sort of multiple options for where I could take it. It's really a testament to show that taking inspiration from your immediate environment can really be a great place to start when you're looking for new ways to come up with fresh and exciting ideas you haven't drawn from before. So I might leave it there. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Feel free to leave some comments in the comment section below. Maybe it's your favorite part of the process. Maybe it's what you thought of the finished artwork, or what else you think I could maybe turn it into. Or maybe it's even something that you would like to see me draw. I'm open to suggestions, so just type them on in there. Also, if you did enjoy this episode, like I said at the beginning, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I upload videos like this as much as I can. It would be really cute to have you a part of my YouTube family. And also, if you use Instagram, head over there and add me to Instagram. I post up a lot of extra process stuff and artworks and projects on there as well. There's links to my LinkedIn and website in the description below, as well as a link to my quarterly newsletter where I announce all my new projects, collaborations, products, things like that. It's just a quarterly newsletter, so only 4 times a year. I promise I won't spam, but yeah, feel free to add yourself to one of those. Otherwise, I'm gonna go and I will see you all in the next video. Bye. Also, do you like my skivvy? I dyed this myself with a friend. This was a white skivvy and we dyed it green, and it's probably the best color. I wear it all the time. It's great. All right, I'm going. Bye.